It's your boy Bag Daddy. It's the Bag Show. Today's episode is about abortion. Abortion has become an issue in the most recent election season. Abortion is a big issue because the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, and it left it up to the states. And a lot of states have made abortion illegal. Some states kept it legal. So it's a lot of people arguing over whether or not abortion should be legal. And I'm finna give my opinion on it. And I know this is a controversial topic, so I know a lot of people feel very strongly one way or the other. But my opinion is based on my religious beliefs, and I have one opinion on whether or not it's right, or whether or not it's a sin, or whether or not it's a disgusting practice. And I have one opinion on whether or not it should be enforced, or it should be allowed, or this policy should be or whether or not legal action should be taken for the practice. And it's all based on my religious beliefs. I am a Muslim. A lot of people know this. I'm Muslim. I'm wearing a law pendant right now. So I believe in Allah. I believe Prophet Muhammad is the prophet, is the messenger. I may not always be the best Muslim or the best practicer of Islam, but this is what I believe. This is my faith. So, number one, is abortion wrong? Is it morally wrong? Is it a sin? In my opinion, and in the opinion of, and according to my belief system, yes, it is wrong. Now let me tell you the history of the Arabs before the time of Prophet Muhammad and before the Quran was revealed. They had a practice where they would bury babies alive that they didn't want. Most of the time it was because the babies were female. It was a very male dominated culture, and they were embarrassed to have daughters, especially if their daughters was their first child. If they didn't have any male heirs, they didn't want to have a daughter first. So if somebody, and they didn't have the technology to know whether it was going to be a boy or a girl before it was born. So if this was their first child, they'd be hoping that it's going to be, a boy. And if they had a girl, they just take her out into the desert and bury her alive. There's a ayat in the Quran that says, "Do not kill your children for fear of want," and it says God will provide for them just like He provided for you. So that passage, or that ayat in the Quran, is very relevant to the abortion question, because the logic behind why abortion should be legal is the mother or the parents may not be ready for a child. They may not be able to afford a child or provide for a child. And this is the Quran. This is Allah in the Quran saying, "Don't kill your children for fear of want." This is like, have faith that just like you was provided for, whether you struggled or whatever, you ate, you know what I'm saying? You had, you had food, clothes, shelter, place to sleep, whatever. So just like you had it growing up and you didn't necessarily see where, you don't necessarily know where your next meal gonna come from, but just like you have it, don't kill your child. So now there's no punishment put in place for killing your child, though. So it's wrong to do it, but there was never a punishment put in place for people that did it. They was just condemned. This is wrong. You know it's wrong. So there was just they were shamed. It was something to feel guilty about, but it wasn't prosecuted. There's nowhere in the history where you can find, somebody being even spanked or anything. Like some of the religious crimes in the Islamic religion, there you get lashes for it. Still, there's a penalty for stealing. Stealing, get your hand cut off. So that there's no, I wasn't able to find a place where there was a punishment for it, but we believe it's wrong, and I believe it's wrong, and most of society, whether they believe it should be legal or not, don't believe it's right to kill a baby, or to kill an unborn baby, or what have you. But now there's the other question: is should a woman have the right to do it? Now, we know it's wrong. But is it also wrong to force a woman to have a baby that she does not want? Because the baby is in her body. It's in her body. It's growing in her. Is wrong for her not to, it's wrong for her to abort the baby, right? That's wrong. I agree that that's wrong. But does she have a right to do it? Now that's a whole nother question of whether or not she has the right to do it. Because this baby is feeding off of her. It's inside of her. It's living off of her. So and there's another verse in the Quran. It's a part of the verse that says oppression is worse than slaughter. Meaning oppression is worse than slaughter. Slaughter is killing someone. So that's a belief in Islam that we believe it is worse to oppress someone than it is to kill someone. Killing is wrong. But for example, if you have one guy who's kidnapping people and torturing them and forcing them to do whatever you want them to do, or enslaving them and forcing them to do whatever you want them to do, and you have one guy that's killing people, the guy that's killing people, the murderer, the serial killer, he's wrong. But the one that's oppressing people without killing them is more wrong than the one who is killing people. Because it's more merciful to kill someone than to keep them alive and torture them and force them to do what you want them to do. They can't be free. People are supposed to be free. Another thing we believe in Islam is there's no compulsion in religion. So you can't enforce morality. We can have laws that keep society from being chaotic. So laws are necessary. We don't never want to live in a state of lawlessness or anarchy. But the line is drawn where things can be wrong, morally wrong, and things can be right, but they're not forced. You can't force somebody to do what's right, and you can't stop somebody from doing something wrong if it's not harming the whole society. If it's something that's just harming that person, it's something they're doing in their own home, they doing to themselves, the people that they doing it with are in agreements with it, you can't force them. You can force them not to do it in public. You can force them not to impose it on the society, but you can't enforce personal morality. So that leads, should abortion be legal? And that's a whole nother question. It's wrong. I believe it's wrong, but I believe that, especially in the instance of where a woman was raped, or and that, I can see that as very oppressive, to force a woman to have the child of somebody who raped her. That could be very traumatic and very oppressive. I believe it's wonderful if she can forgive and get past it and raise the child and love the child. That would be wonderful. If she had a heart like that and she was that type of person and she could overcome that, that would be beautiful. That would be amazing. But if she can't, and this is something that's torturing her, it is more wrong to force her to have the baby than it is to let her kill the baby. Because that slaughter that she's doing is not as bad as the oppression that you're doing by forcing her to have the baby. So I know this is a hot button issue, and you got people on both sides. And my position is kind of in the middle, because you got some people that's all the way to one extreme. They don't believe it's wrong. They won't even accept the fact that the unborn baby is alive. They don't even want to accept that. It's not even alive in their mind. So that's one extreme. And you got one extreme that's pro-life, and we don't give a damn about the mother and what she going through and her trauma or her problems. We don't give a damn about what she want. If she want to have the baby, if she can afford the baby, if it's stressful to her, if this baby if she's in a position to love and nurture and care for this baby mentally and emotionally, because quality of life is more important than life itself. An oppressive life is not the same as a good quality happy life. So will this child even have a good life if their own mother don't love them because she feel like she was forced to have them? Is that a life worth having? Would you want to be the child whose mother didn't want them, don't give a damn about them, might not treat them right, might neglect them, didn't want them, but couldn't get rid of them? That's something to think about. But irregardless of all of that, one reason why I feel like they make it a big argument, but it really doesn't have to be. They make it like it's if a woman can't get an abortion, it's nothing she can do. And if you ban abortion, you stop people from terminating unwanted pregnancies. But I'm a realist, and I don't know what they do in some parts of the country or some states, but I've always been aware that women know how to force a miscarriage. A A miscarriage is not hard to make happen. So I am not under the illusion that a woman who truly doesn't want to have a baby can be forced to have that baby. Unless you lock her up, control her diet, you would have to literally force her to keep herself healthy, watch everything that go in her mouth, everything that go in her body, everything that she do, and monitor her 24/7 to force her to have the baby. You can't force her to have the baby. She can say, oh, I had a miscarriage. Oh, an accident. Oh, this happened, that happened. But a woman who doesn't want to have a baby and really doesn't want to have a baby, she's not going to take the fact that abortion is outlawed and say, well, there's nothing I can do. I guess I'm just going to have this baby. She's going to get rid of the baby. So outlawing abortion is really, it's pointless. Now, I don't think abortion should be taxpayer funded. I don't think there should be abortion clinics. I think just the thought of having an industry that the whole purpose of this industry is to kill unborn babies. I just think that's a very sick idea in and of itself. But I think decisions made between a woman and her doctor, if she talked to the doctor and say, I really don't want to have this baby, and the doctor give her something, a drug or something to take, and she come back and she have a miscarriage and they clean up after the miscarriage, I believe that should be allowed. But I don't believe we should have whole clinics and whole industries, and the only thing this industry is about is killing babies. I think that's sick. That's sicker than Jeffrey Dahmer. To have an industry designated, is to have a baby killing industry. That is some sick shit. So we can do away with, in my opinion, Planned Parenthood and abortion clinics. We can do away with that. But if somebody's individual doctor wants to help them miscarry, I wouldn't prosecute it. I wouldn't investigate it. I don't want to fund it. I don't want to take part in it. But I wouldn't prosecute it. I wouldn't investigate it. I wouldn't, I don't even have to know. We don't even have to have a record of this. We can call it miscarriages. Why do we need a list of abortions? We don't even need to record this. We don't need to remember it. We don't need to talk about it. If she don't want to have a baby and she make herself miscarry, that's what she did. She had a miscarriage. So that's my opinion. So this is the Bag Show, and I'm just telling you what I think and what I feel about what we know and we don't. Peace out. Love y'all.